Thanks everybody for being here today. So let me just start off by introducing myself. My name is Amy Verdun. I'm a member of the Executive Committee of the ECPR. I work at the University of Victoria and have a guest lectureship at Leiden University. It's been a privilege for me to chair the Rising Stars Award, which we've only had a few years now. And this year we had the privilege of having a good number of people to select from, and they were outstanding. So in our pool, we had people who had done way more work than any of the members on the committee actually had done at that same level of career themselves. So we were very humbled by the productivity of all of the people who were shortlisted and that were doing so amazing work. So the jury consisted of John Reisig, Centennial Professor at the Center for Deliberative Democracy and Global Governance at the University of Canberra, Klaus Goetz, Professor and Chair in Political Systems and European Integration at the Geschwister Scholl Institute for Political Science at the Ludwig Maximilians University in Munich, Virginie Girondon, who's Director at Sciences Po Center for European and Comparative Studies in Paris. So we had another member, but that person had to withdraw because of conflict of interest. So the committee was just these people. So the winner of the Rising Star for this year is Stuart Turnbull-Dugarte. The nominee has an outstanding academic record throughout his career to date. His recent productivity and publications and teaching is outstanding. From the 2016-2020 period, he worked at King's College London on his PhD dissertation entitled Politics Constrained: The Political Consequences of EU Economic Intervention in Western Europe. And he's now associate professor in the Department of Political Science and International Relations at the University of Southampton in the United Kingdom. His work focuses on LGBTQ plus politics, having support for these rights in the general population, and how the inclusion of rights and immigration for this community has been fused in many political debates. And he's also made a contribution to explaining the rise in Spain of the radical right political party Vox. He's an extensive list of single and co-author publications. To date, he's published a single-authored book with Routledge, as well as 27 journal articles, which is an astounding number, a mix of even single and co-authored publications, many of them having come out in leading political science outlets, such as the American Political Science Review, Electoral Studies, European Journal of Political Research, Government in Opposition, Journal of European Public Policy, Journal of Politics, West European Politics, and many more. And these are also highly cited articles in recently established journals, for instance, as Research in Politics and Political Research Exchange. And so the committee felt that all these works had come out over such a short period of time. And in addition, candidate won prizes such as the Best Article Prize on European Union Politics. And he'd made significant contributions to the discipline, having served as frequent journal manuscript reviewer and as an associate editor of 2 journals. And societal contribution and contribution to the profession is one of the criteria of the Rising Stars Prize. During COVID-19, he started an online seminar series which offered junior researchers an outlet for research and a way to connect, which was very important in this difficult period that we see now has led to much mental health issues in the community. So this connection was crucial. He also convened a Europe-wide LGBTQ mentoring program. And so all in all, the committee was unanimous in finding that Dr. Turnbull-Dugarte is an exemplary recipient of the 2023 Rising Stars Award. Congratulations.
It was a real pleasure to nominate Stuart for this prize. And I was trying to think when I first met Stuart, and actually I think it was probably for a job application in Vienna. And I've sort of been following his career ever since, and we've stayed in touch actually since then, and also now have recently also started working together. And basically, I mean, I think by now Stuart isn't a rising star. I think his star has kind of risen almost by now, right? So he's clearly sort of made a real name for himself in political science. And so instead of sort of saying how many articles he's published or how productive he is, which I think can be true about Stuart's work, but I think even more important than that is it's that he's published really interesting work and really high quality work. So I don't want to put more pressure on people to publish more articles, but I think follow Stuart's lead in publishing really, really challenging and innovative work. And whenever you see Stuart's name on a journal article, you know that it's really well done, interesting, and a real contribution to the literature. And I think one of the things that he's really contributed to is this work on the political behavior of LGBTQ plus individuals, which I think was really understudied and not really examined very much. And also there was a surprising amount of reluctance among journal editors and journals to sort of publish this work. And I think that Stuart really was one of the first to place such papers in really high quality outlets. And I think that's really helped other people who also want to study understudied sort of social groups of all kinds. So I think that's really valuable. And he's continued this line of work, and you know, there's a really promising future work on those topics. And just recently he published a great paper with Alberto Lopez on APSR and homonationalism, and how sort of different topics are fused in political debates in Europe. And also his work on Vox has been of real interest to me, because I also study radical right politics, and just to see a really great study of a newly emerging radical right party was really useful and interesting to me. And I think especially his work on looking at how military personnel and how sort of authoritarian attitudes support the rise of radical right parties was really interesting and really valuable. But the second thing, and I think that's actually the main reason why I think I decided to nominate Stuart, is non-research focused contribution to the discipline, which was, you know, during COVID, I noticed that he organized a really great seminar series for young scholars, trying to connect people who were basically isolated and who had lost other opportunities of getting feedback and making connections. And that was really valuable. And I actually listened in on a few of those seminars. They were really interesting to me as well. And also, he's always at the forefront of trying to create mentoring opportunities, make the discipline more inclusive, and sort of create a welcoming atmosphere. And I think that's something we've seen in political science more recently over the last 20 years, where sort of the atmosphere has gone from trying to compete and try to be negative and try to sort of show who's better and who's smarter, but instead of creating an atmosphere where people support each other and it's a welcoming discipline where everyone feels at home and everyone feels that they can contribute and find friends and make connections. And I think Stuart has done really useful work in trying to create the spaces where that's possible. So those are the sort of two reasons. And I'm really happy that Stuart has been, that sort of contribution has been recognized with this award.
Okay, thank you very much for this award. I'm absolutely delighted to be awarded the Rising Star Award for 2023, especially for an institution like the ECPR, particularly with my work on LGBTQ plus rights. My first publication in this area was in the ECPR's flagship journal, the European Journal of Political Research. So I feel that this is kind of a symbolic moment for me, where the institution itself is now recognizing this kind of line of inquiry. And that was also really a turning point for me in my own kind of trajectory in academia, because at that point I was kind of considering whether, you know, academia really was for me, and whether this kind of line of inquiry was going to be recognized by kind of mainstream or large impactful journals like the ECPR's journal, European Journal of Political Research. So I remember, you know, skipping down the corridor, and I gave my supervisor a big hug in that moment, because I kind of felt validated in the work I was doing. Because I experienced, like many other people, that our ECRs are also perhaps more senior scholars, this so-called imposter syndrome, right? Where you often don't feel that you belong, or your work is not of the quality that everyone else is. So getting these kind of periods of recognition kind of helps validate that as well, which is also really nice. So I mentioned in passing there my supervisor, and it's absolutely not lost on me that this prize in many ways also should go to her, which is Christelle Coupe, who was my supervisor when I was at King's College London, who was an excellent supervisor, was very patient with me in terms of developing my own ideas. I think when we first met, I didn't really know what an OLS regression was. So she was very patient in kind of teaching me the technical skills, but also kind of navigating through academia itself. And was also very patient, again, as I've mentioned, as someone who perhaps struggles with issues related with mental health. She was very kind of conscious of supervising someone like me, and kind of holding my hand through the PhD system until I gained my job at Southampton. And beyond Christelle in general, I'm just absolutely indebted to a huge number of mentors who have supported me. Whilst I think I've been quite pioneering in the area of LGBTQ plus research in Europe, there kind of is a longer pedigree in the United States, led by people like Ken Sherrill, Andrew Reynolds, and Philippa Youb, amongst others, who have been important mentors to me as well. And I think we kind of don't acknowledge how important mentors are in the discipline, because basically all the activities we do often require us to seek support from our peers, whether it's applying for jobs, applying for tenure, promotion, grants, bids, and etc. We often need to call upon peers to provide us with, you know, letters of recommendation or support. So it's not lost to me that I've received a huge amount of mentorship and support from some of these individuals I've named, as well as others. So I'm absolutely delighted to receive this award. I hope it does serve as a kind of validation that the kind of works, particularly on LGBTQ plus politics, is now within the mainstream of political science. I don't necessarily think that's because of me, but if anything, the publications I have now are kind of cementing that it is definitely within this sphere now, and more people. I would like to keep going down this path, not only because I get to read more exciting work, but I also have potentially more co-authors as well, which is always really nice. So thank you very much.
It's a real honor for all of us to be in this room together, to share in this delight of having the prize be awarded to you, Stuart, and also Markus for having nominated and taken the trouble to put together an application. I know that some of the people who will be watching this video will feel that they're one of you. So there'll be either a person who's thinking about nominating or a nominee who is aspiring to step in your footsteps and be that next person. And I think what you've done today is to demonstrate that you often don't even know that you're doing the work that may one day be recognized by others, and that you just have to believe that what you're doing is sensible. And at some point, it may all come together. So thanks for also having shared that part of the journey, so that you might also inspire others to feel less of the imposter syndrome and more just doing your work is often what it takes. To stay centered and be motivated to do what you think inspires you to take the next step, and not worry too much about what others will be thinking about it. And at some point, it might all come together. So thank you for sharing all of that, and also for ECPR for making all of this possible today.